Growing up surrounded by the pastures of the Paniolo, the Hawaiian Cowboys and cowgirls of the Pacific Ocean put what I can only describe as a spell on me. A longing that left my younger self slipping through barbed wire fences and climbing trees to drop my tiny frame onto the backs of our neighbors' horses. A spell that to this day has me enchanted by a life I hardly know. For a horse and some land. For wide open spaces and plenty of time to roam. My friend Jorge Correas is what many would call a Gaucho, a cowboy of the South American Pampas who finds his wealth not in comforts or possessions, but in wide open spaces and a life lived close to the land. A land far different from the pastures of my youth, where unforgiving winds crest towering mountains and sweep down into endless valleys. And yet Jorge lives a very similar life to the one I one day hope to call my own. So when he told me he needed a hand with his animals, I took to the skies and watched as the ocean below turned to seas of grass. Arriving in Argentina, Jorge gave me the rundown. We'd be herding his sheep to a place he called the refuge, a valley that he gushed about for hours. He said that he first laid eyes on it from his father's saddle, and at 8 years old he boldly proclaimed,
"Algún día este campo va a ser mío, papá."
And through a life dedicated to a dream, that's exactly what he did.
Watch.
And he assured me it would be the most beautiful place I'd ever seen. But it was a 5-day ride from here. So we saddled up, let the sheep out of the pen, and headed up into the Andes. The days were long, and the land's endless enough to wander for a lifetime. Mountains shot up out of the earth in every color. Glaciers melted into emerald pools, and wherever green crawled across the land, flowers followed, and wild horses too. As the days passed, I fell more and more in love with Jorge's life under the stars, and asked what he loved the most about being a gaucho. His answer surprised me.
No soy el gaucho solamente. Soy criollo. Rural. Implica una filosofía de vida. No se puede definir simplemente. Es el amor que uno tiene. Para mí este valle soy yo. Yo me siento valle. Yo me siento verde, yo me siento... Y respeto la naturaleza y respeto las tradiciones.
On the 5th morning, we crept up to the rim of the refuge. And as the valley came into view, I saw what can only be described as a dream. A dream of green and gold and a little house that sat amongst it all. A house that Jorge built brick by brick over the last decade. And as we stood in a moment of stillness, I thought I saw a memory pass through his eyes.
Cuando entro a ese valle, realmente me transformo. Debe ser el amor que me explota en el pecho. Me siento tan fresco como el río. Me siento tan brillante como Las Vegas. Me siento tan joven como los corderitos. Y me siento tan grande como la montaña. Eso es el amor que siento por cada una de esas cosas. Y tan libre como los caballos.
As we settled into Jorge's home, a sense of understanding washed over me, and the spell I'd been under my whole life was both broken and recast all at once. Although I still dream of having what Jorge has, of a horse and a house, and a piece of land to call my own, I realized I already have the most beautiful part of what he has. A love for the place I call home. A place that makes me feel as fresh as the rivers and as free as the horses.
Luna is the special sheep.